Hey everyone, my name's Trent. I've just come from a screening of Battle of the Sexes. Now, the questions I need to ask is, does it make me want to pick up my dusty old Slazenger and get back on the court, or do I want to smash it on the ground? Now, the plot of the movie revolves around Billie Jean King and her push for women's liberation and equality on the tennis circuit in the 1970s, which eventually culminates in a battle with the outspoken, self-proclaimed misogynist Bobby Riggs. So this movie is a really big diamond in the rough. I had no idea that it was even coming out, and it was really quite refreshing upon seeing it, because I come from a really big tennis background and I'm very familiar with the whole push for equality and the gender pay gap and the Billie Jean King issues throughout the 1970s and all that she accomplished. So it was really refreshing to see all that come to life on the big screen. Now, what was really exceptional for me was the cast. There were some really, really great supporting actors like Alan Cumming and Sarah Silverman. They were the standouts for me in their particular roles as Gladys and Ted. But the best part about the movie was the main leads, Emma Stone and Steve Carell. They literally did no wrong. Emma Stone portrayed Billie Jean King absolutely phenomenally. She had the look down, she had all of her mannerisms down, including the posture. She was really cute, and you really got the sense of vulnerability, and you could see the questioning of her sexuality when those scenes occurred in the movie. It really drew me as a viewer into that film, and the way everything was portrayed was just absolutely amazing. She did a phenomenal job. There's already rumours of her being awarded an Academy Award, and I can completely see why. But that's not to put aside her co-star. Steve Carell did a phenomenal job. The best part about him is that we all know that he's this funny guy, but he has another side to him completely, and you can see that come through in movies like this. He's complex. You know that he's going to be funny and that he uses his humour as a defence mechanism, but at the flick of a switch, he literally is able to change the entire tone of the scene that he's in, particularly with his wife. When they were going through the divorce or the separation, he really showed just how fragile and the persona that Bobby Riggs may have shown in those scenes. It was really quite phenomenal, and I really hope he gets an award for it, because it was really, really good. Now, the film was set in the 1970s, so it was really, really good to get the atmosphere and the vibe, the clothing, the cars, the product placement of smoking being the sponsor of all pretty much sporting events. It was really, really good to see that come to life on screen, and it not being alive in the 70s, I can only assume that that's what it was like. So it gave me that kind of feel of, this is what the 1970s is like. What added to that even further was the cinematography. They used cameras that had that grainy texture. I don't know if it was the cameras or if it was the filter, but you had the grainy texture as if you were watching a production from 1970s. And they did use actual real clips from the 70s and from the tennis match in this film, which was refreshing because you could barely tell the transition. So everything felt like it was actually happening in real time throughout the proceedings. Now, every good movie needs a good villain. One would think that's Bobby Riggs. No, in this film, it's Australian Margaret Court. And I think that's purely based on her outlandish statements that she's made earlier in the year that's kind of dug a hole for herself. So that's reflected in the movie. I don't think it's really necessary, but it did establish her as a threat to Billie Jean King on the tennis circuit, and why there might be those resentments, because obviously Billie Jean is questioning her sexuality, and having her hairdresser go on tour with her really brought up those issues, and Margaret Court was able to be thrown into that situation about how she disagrees with lesbianism and homosexuality. But it was necessary in the fact that Margaret Court needed to be established as a threat and be defeated by Bobby Riggs, which then led to Billie Jean King going on to defeat Bobby. My only gripe with the movie is that the tennis match was not necessary. I felt the tennis match was not necessary. We didn't need to see the entire match. Well, it wasn't the entire match, but we didn't need to see the match play out because we already know what happens. We know that she beat Bobby. That's not a spoiler. We know that it happened. I felt it would have been much more effective if the movie had finished with her going up to serve and cutting to black. The aftermath and celebration didn't really add anything to the movie. So it would have been good to have the film cut to black and then have the title credits start rolling and summarise what the results of the match were, what happened after, how all the characters in the film that were of importance finished with a happily ever after. And the best part is a lot of them did finish with a happily ever after. So it was a very upbeat movie, really good social justice questionings on issues that are still relevant today, the gender pay gap and acceptance of gay marriage. So it was fantastic. It's not normally my type of movie, but these biopics are really starting to get a roll on things and bring to light issues that a lot of people have forgotten about and deserve recognition. So yeah, it's definitely a good movie. I suggest you check it out. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think of it once you've seen it. And don't forget to like our Facebook page on So Is It Any Good?